In this series, we will be reading the lore text about the Cyberpunk 2077 setting from the book, The World of Cyberpunk 2077. This episode covers the first section of Chapter 2, The Technology of Tomorrow, about cyberware. Cyberware, the market and availability. Most companies offer a wide selection of off-the-shelf implants, pejoratively known as shelfware. Though often scorned by professionals who prefer to tune and modify their own stuff, those implants are reliable, widely available, and generally affordable. They function in modern culture like tattoos and cell phones did at the beginning of the 21st century, as a method of expression, a trendy addition to one's image, and a useful gadget, usually all in one. Basic cyberware is easy to obtain nowadays. Shops and cosmetic clinics install light implants on the spot. You walk in off the street, make an appointment, sit through a quick procedure and some calibrations, and voila. Now you've got your very own cyber implant. Other actions can be bought at the store and installed at home. More complicated cyberware needs to be installed in specialist clinics. But the procedure isn't more complicated than a visit to the dentist's office. Yes, they have to check that your medical condition won't cause any complications during the procedure. But they know that you can always install the same implant at a Ripperdoc's place for about 60% of the price. So they usually aren't too strict. The most complex cybernetic and biological enhancements, like full-body conversions and organ and limb replacements, are only performed by specialists in branded clinics. Most people pick something from the doc's ARIS catalog, but you can also choose one of the black clinics, depending on your preference, the state of your wallet, and your risk assessment. If you're feeling lucky and you want to have some Ripperdoc from Kyrgyzstan remove your heart and replace it with cheap second-hand junk, go for it. Also, having your arm cut off to get yourself a cyber replacement isn't something that most people do on a daily basis. You have to be pretty fucked up or have a serious reason, like a loan to pay, to come to that decision. Things are different when you're rich, though. Rich people do much weirder stuff just to show off. Removing or replacing an implant is almost always an option, but there are no refunds. Think twice before you make the decision. Think especially with complex cyberware. If you can't afford to buy a new model, or you haven't kept your old lungs in the fridge, you may have serious problems, with breathing and stuff. Compatibility. Modern implants all have similar technological foundations because they need to be compatible with each user's nervous system. The interfaces are all industry standard, so there is no problem with compatibility between competing platforms from different manufacturers. You have an Arasaka-made learning processor, but a chipware socket from Biotechnica. No problem. The history of cyberware, prostheses and generation, 0 cyberware. Cyberware was created as an evolution of medical prostheses. At the beginning of the 21st century, implants were mainly used to replace missing or damaged limbs and organs. Artificial heart valves, extremities, vertebrae, they were all designed to save human lives or to help the patient to function more normally after severe body trauma. The development of cyberware sped up after the Central American War, when thousands of veterans came home injured. Technological progress and miniaturization allowed for medical cyberware to become more sophisticated and widespread, but it was still quite expensive and not very intuitive to use. The first prosthetic arm was a heavy mechanical contraption with a crude gripper instead of a hand and fingers. Today, we refer to such cyberware as Generation Zero. It is completely obsolete compared to modern technology. The industrial cyberware revolution and Generation 1, post-war medical cyberware prosthesis development, helped to speed up the miniaturization process. The first non-medical implants to be designed and successfully tested were reinforced spines and joints for heavy labor workers and air filters grafted in upper respiratory tracts for those working in polluted environments. Still, the high rate of implant rejection remained the main obstacle for the further cybernetic enhancement of society. Cyberware found its way to the battlefields in the second decade of the 21st century. The Second Central American War and the Second and Third Corporate Wars were the crucibles that forged the first combat implants. Militech was first to seize the opportunity. Their enhanced cyber soldiers, with increased carrying capacity and direct connections to personal motion trackers and range finders, proved to be superior to their opponents in almost every way. Each side of those conflicts soon started to design and employ combat cyberware. Those wars started an arms race between the major armies of the megacorporations that continues to this day. That early combat and industrial cyberware is now referred to as Generation 1 or Gen 1. Made of metal and plastic, they exceed the Generation 0, but are inferior even to the old-fashioned Generation 2. Nowadays, they can only be seen on the black market, sold cheap to the poorest of people who can't afford better cyberware. Generation 2 and the anti-rejection solution implants hit the streets. As has often been the case in human history, war would play a pivotal role in the development of a new technology. The battlefield dust had not yet settled before the cyber-medical market started booming. The same corporations that participated in the corporate wars now saw an opportunity for profit and expanded their lines to produce medical implants for veterans. Right after that, they introduced cheap models for the industrial market, and the first models for the masses were designed simultaneously. The first cyberweapons appeared too, thanks to their still federally unregulated status. These events all coincided with the invention of anti-rejection treatment, the development of the new cultural style called kitsch, and the boom of brain dance technology. Society, weary from recent wars, wanted to party again and to look like the heroes in the newest brain dance productions. The age of cyberware had begun. Generation 2 cyber implants are the most common type of augmentation you will encounter on the street. They are functional and relatively cheap. Gen 1 pistons and hydraulics were replaced by artificial cyber muscles that allowed for greater actuation and strength. Then, real skin technology entered the market and immediately became a high-end status symbol. Bootlegs and black market purchases. When you cannot afford original gear, you can always buy a cheaper version made by a lesser company. These counterfeits usually have fewer options, worse software, and are more prone to failure. That's what you get with Militech or Arasaka brand quality. You can also try to buy cyberware on the black market, but the prices can be pretty high. You'll surely pay less for the cyberarm, with some leftover chunks of the previous owner attached to it. But for the hot merchandise, like a brand new Gen 4 temporal cortex enhancement prototype, you'll have to sell both of your kidneys, or at least someone's kidneys, provided they're healthy. Real skin. Real skin is a technology used for producing synthetic skin, virtually indistinguishable from natural skin. Invented for the medical market to help war veterans accept their cyberprostheses, it became more popular and affordable in the following 30 years, and is now the standard covering for most implants. Fans of retro style and owners of expensive custom-made cyberlimbs still prefer to go naked and wear implants without a real skin overlay. Rise of the megacorporations and Generation 3 cyberware. The rise of the megacorporations also played a role in cyberware's continued technological development. The invention of Gen 3 cyberware was instigated by the corporate Cold Wars. Every corporation wanted to have better equipped soldiers and enforcers to keep their competitors at bay and their own business secure. Lighter and more durable carbon fiber and ceramic polymers replaced heavy metal. Concealed subdermal armor and retractable weapons were designed for black ops and assassins. Bullet, blade, and fireproof armored variants of real skin were developed and are widely used today among corporate forces. This period also saw the invention of Bioware technology that uses biological enhancements instead of cybernetics. Skinweave armor, nanosurgeons, toxic binders, and synaptic upgrades became ever more popular. Though biomodified muscles and organs are not as powerful as their cyberware counterparts, they are immune to EMP attacks, are not detectable by regular scanners, and are less likely to cause cyberpsychosis. Individuals combining cyberware and bioware became some of the most dangerous corporate agents and special operatives. I wouldn't recommend buying any bioware from an unchecked source unless you want an infection from some crazy, convict-tested nanobots that eventually attack your nervous system. In the last 30 years, cyberware has become widely used in every aspect of life across all social strata, from the military, medicine, and manufacturing to family life, sex, and entertainment. Its development created legal and illegal business, from brain dance and cyber fashion to the black market of cyber limbs and bioengineered organs. Humanity has been forever changed. Bioware, biotechnology, and nanotechnology are still fairly novel by market standards. They were created as byproducts of implant anti-rejection treatment, where their primary use was to integrate implants into a human body. Based on artificial growth, enhanced organs, and low-impact nanotech, in a few years, Bioware could become the leading technology in the body modification business. Bioware is developing rapidly, especially in Europe, which is a cradle of high-quality bioengineered modifications. Scandinavian laboratories and clinics belonging to relatively small, government-backed corporations like Freya and Yggdrasil are considered to produce the best Bioware on the market, outclassing any of their American or Asian-made counterparts. For the rich and powerful Generation 4, the newest and best kind of cyberware comes in two types. The first is used by top-tier corporate officials and agents. Implants like upgraded neural processors, net-running hackware, grade IV cyber eyes, and stress analyzers give them a competitive edge over their rivals and peers. Covered with the finest quality real skin, these Gen 4 augmentations define a corpo's lifestyle and are a sign of their status within the corporation. Though no less advanced, the second type of peak modern cyberware is designed to be overtly visible. This is about becoming ever more popular among the social elite, corporate heirs, brain dance stars, singers, and other celebrities. Flowing gold and platinum lines woven into the most advanced real skin. Anatomical cyber limbs made of pure crystal, artificially cultivated on orbital stations, or plated with natural wooden tiles worth tens of thousands of Eurodollars. This style of cyberware is almost purely decorative to signify status and wealth. Designer implants. To get a custom-made version of a commercial implant, you'll need to know the right fixer and have some money to spend on the merchandise. Such cyberware is extremely rare and expensive, but half of the exorbitant price is the uniqueness fee. Nevertheless, obtaining a piece of bespoke gear earns a lot of respect and can be a major shot in the arm for your street reputation. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this audio journey into the world of Cyberpunk 2077. In our next episode, we will cover the next section of the Technology of Tomorrow chapter about weapons.